evaluate this limit. If we plug in x equals 1 directly here, what are we gonna get here? Let's see, 1 plus cosine pi pi over ln 1 is 0 minus 1 plus 1. Okay, that is cosine pi pi. I mean, you can punch in your calculator. Okay, that's like, we know cosine 1 pi, cosine pi is -1, and if we go 2 pi more, that means 3 pi, that's -1, pi pi -1. This is -1, 1 plus -1 means 0 over 0. Okay, so we have 0 over 0 if we plug in x equals 1 directly. That means we need to do more work to determine the final answer. And the good news is, whenever we get 0 over 0 or plus minus infinity over plus minus infinity, we can apply the L'Hopital's rule. So that is limit x going to 1 of the derivative of top on the top, derivative of bottom on the bottom. Okay, derivative of 1 is 0, don't have to write, I wrote anyways. Derivative of cosine of something. Okay, when we have cosine of some function of x, its derivative is negative sine that times derivative of this inside function from the chain rule. That means cosine pi of x is negative sine pi by x times derivative of pi by x is just pi pi. Pi is a constant because pi is about 3.14, so times pi. That's on the top. Derivative of bottom on the bottom. So I'm using L'Hopital's rule and I'm indicating that writing LH. Derivative of ln x is 1 over x minus derivative of x is 1 plus derivative of 1 is 0. We got 3 terms and I found the derivative. Let me simplify, then we'll see whether we get 0 over 0 again. In that case, we have to apply L'Hopital's rule again. So 0 doesn't count, minus this times pi pi, we can put on the front. So negative pi is a number, sine pi x all over 1 over x minus 1. I'm not going to simplify. I can combine these two fractions, but thinking 1 is 1 over 1, but it's a lot of work. Let's see if we can get an answer. Okay, let's try to plug in x equals 1. So when we plug in 1 over 1 is just 1 minus 1, 0. So I'm going to get 0 on the bottom. Negative pi times sine pi because x is 1, sine pi. Okay, sine pi, we know that sine pi is sine 180, that's 0. 3 pi is 0, pi is also 0. So, or you can check in your calculator. So this is 0 times any other number. 0 times a number is 0. So we have 0 over 0. That means we need to take L'Hopital's rule one more time. So that is, I'm indicating, writing LH, limit x going to 1. On the top, negative pi is there, just there, constant, times derivative of sine u. Okay, it's like cosine u earlier. Derivative of sine is cosine pi x times from the chain rule derivative of inside, which is pi. On the bottom, 1 over x. Let's find derivative of 1 over x. I mean, you can use quotient rule. So 1 over x is a derivative using the quotient rule. X is square on the bottom, derivative of 1 is 0 times x minus derivative of x is 1 times the top is 1. And this is 0 minus 1 over x square. Okay, derivative of 1 over x is negative 1 over x squared. Or you can think 1 over x is x raised to negative 1 and take the derivative. So using the power rule, it's like xn, you get the same thing. So in either case, derivative of 1 over x is negative 1 over x squared minus derivative of 1 is 0. I'm not going to write that. Okay, we took L'Hopital's rule one more time. That means found the derivative of top on the top, derivative of bottom on the bottom. Let's try to plug in now. Okay, because on the bottom we are not going to get 0 anymore. Negative 1 over 1 squared is just 1. 1 over 1 is 1. So this is negative 1. That means it's not going to be 0 over 0. So we get answer in next line. On the top, negative pi pi, we can multiply. Pi pi, that's negative 25 pi square times cosine pi. So what is cosine pi? Okay, so we know that cosine 1 pi, 3 pi, 5 pi got the same. Cosine pi, that's cosine 180 is negative 1. So after 2 pi, we get 3 pi, that's negative 1. And this is also negative 1. You can check in your calculator. So negative 1 all over negative 1 over 1 squared means 1. So this is also negative 1. So negative positive, but there is a negative sign. So negative in the front doesn't count. So 25 pi square. That's the final answer. Okay.